Hey, good evening. We are live here with Coach Sid Edwards, Mayor President candidate elect for the Republican Party here in Baton Rouge. So thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight.
Man, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm honored that I get I always look up to like Joe Rogan, and he had the president, and I've got the mayoral president candidate here. So, you know, it is an honor that now the show is taken off so well and the popularity, and you know, to have someone like yourself, and we had Ted James on previously talking about the vision for Baton Rouge.
Right.
And obviously we all agree, I think, maybe not the incumbent, but I think we all agree that we need some change. We need something, I think, a little different to get the city in the right direction.
Well, I'm the change agent. And, you know, we started with 8, and I want to credit all 8 who ran, because I've learned it takes some courage to get in this thing, right?
Right.
And so I appreciate all them, and now it's down to the change candidate, and honestly, no, the status quo. And that's, I'm not being ugly. And, but I just feel that, you know, these 7 folks felt change was necessary.
Yeah.
And as well as, you know, almost 70% of Baton Rouge feels that change is necessary. So that's why we're running. We think we can do some good things, and we're looking forward to it.
So, you know, previously, like I said, we had Ted on the show, and we talked about, you know, his vision and thoughts on the city. And so, where do you feel that the differences were, you know, as a Republican candidate, what Sid Edwards' vision for Baton Rouge, and where it's different from, you know, maybe Mayor Broome and Ted, you know, the Democratic side of things?
Well, I mean, as a coach, as a human being, I'm a natural healer and unifier and leader. And the first order of business is to break the chains of divisiveness in this parish. I mean, there is a lot of division. Yeah. And I have done that my entire life for 40 years, you know, bringing people together.
I love that.
And that's the global view of you know, what we're going to do. The parish itself, I just don't feel anyone, we're ranked 182 out of 182 in safe cities, you know, on a poll. We want it to be a safe place, a place to raise a family that you feel good about. We want to get rid of the blight. We want to help the homeless. I mean, it's so broad. Yep. But the number one thing is crime. Mm-hmm. Just this morning in the Advocate front page, the homicide, you know, rate is spiking. And, you know, so you could ask, what are you going to do about that? You know what? Well, what's happening right now is not working. We're short of police officers. Right. There's some educational components. There's some despair. There's people that medium income of $20,000 a year, and it's all tied together. So it's going to be a comprehensive plan and attack to make that important piece better.
Yeah. Well, and I love what you said with your coaching background, over 44 years coaching?
44.
I don't want to age you, but you look great. But yeah, I know you've been coaching over 40 years. And, you know, one of my first guests I think it might have been my first podcast, was the head coach, Coach Fertitta from Catholic High. Shout out, Coach, if you're listening. We did an episode right after my oldest had won the state title as the quarterback at Catholic High back in 2020. And I always admired Coach Fertitta and good football coaches or sports coaches because of the structure and the motivation. And that was a lot of the things we talked about, was how do you unify the team? How do you motivate, and how do you keep them, you know, year after year, week after week pushing? And that always intrigued me, because I found obviously great coaches clearly are great leaders.
Right.
And so, you know, when you mentioned unifying, you know, it made me think. The other day, I have a polo shirt that had American flags all over it, and I was wearing it leading up to the election, and it was so strange. I had people comment, "I know who you're voting for by that shirt," which is kind of a sad statement.
It is.
That because I'm looking patriotic or have American flags, that automatically makes me a conservative.
Right.
Whereas we should all be unified and under both parties, you know, and we should be working together for the good of in the city here or the country as a whole. And so I think we need that. Someone that's going to bring both sides back together, that can bring the parties back together, because they've gotten so far on such, to me, I think too, the government shouldn't really be involved in personal belief issues, and should be focused more on the economic and the crime, infrastructure, so I think that'll be great.
Right. Who created Republicans and Democrats? Was God? I wonder if God is Democrat or Republican. And I'm being a little facetious,
exactly,
because I mean, everybody, we talk about the unifying part, okay, and everybody being together. And what you do to unify, the most important part of unification is people got to feel a part of it. Mm-hmm. It's like taking candy for a baby for me to unify my teams, kids of all religions, colors, beliefs. In war and in ball and in sports, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, black, white, Asian, Baptist, Catholic, a team. You build a team, a diverse team. And that's what we plan on doing in city parish government. But, it's not hard with my kids. This is a little tougher task.
Kids are probably better at listening than we are as adults.
No doubt. And what you got with parents, because bringing parents together, or a school system together, people got to feel a part of what you're doing. Because quite often what happens, I find in politics, both locally and nationally, someone is elected, there are promises, there are plans, and then boom, you get in office, and it often doesn't come to fruition, and maybe a certain part of the parish, that is what we're running for, feels alienated. I now spend the majority of my day in that part of the parish that is forgotten and underserved, living in despair and trauma, desperately need. I'll give you an example. We talked about the crime deal, right?
Yeah. One of my friends is the head of homicide.
Okay.
And he was supposed to be on the show 6 months ago, and we still haven't been able to line up a day that he could take off to be on the show because he's so busy.
Right. I'll ask you a question. You're the host. So someone that lives near where you're at, or say the Blue Bonnet extension, or out near LSU, if you ask the folks out there, what is their biggest issue? What is their biggest concern? What do you think the answer was? Which I've asked these people.
They're going to say crime, and if nothing else, traffic. Probably going to be the two that come up a lot.
Crime. Okay, for sure. If you ask someone in the Brookstown area, the 70805, down Plank Road, and we've got names over there, Ghost Town and Dixie and Easy Town. If you ask them what's their biggest concern, what do you think theirs was?
Jobs, opportunity.
You're such you got it. You nailed it on the head, my man.
I studied for the quiz.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that, because there's a disparity of where the most violent crimes are happening. Now, they can happen anywhere, and anywhere, but the 70805 is ate up with it.
Yep.
But to me, that's compelling. I didn't do a scientific poll, but talking to people and listening to people, talking to different groups, we find that out.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I went to school out there off of Greenville Elementary, and then lived in Boulevard de Province, and so I grew up in some of the not so great areas of town, and so I understand how it is out there, and that was a big thing. Like, I watched my mom working 2 jobs and struggling to make ends meet, so I get it, and that was I was motivated to not end up like my parents, and outwork to do whatever I had to do to get to my goals, and fortunately I've been able to put a pretty good career together over the years, but it took a lot of hard work, and there was nobody there that really took a liking or showed me the way. Like, it was kind of trial and error, and a lot of it was figuring it out the hard way. And I think one thing that's lacking for young men and women is some kind of business coaching in school, financial literacy, credit, learning how to earn money or balance a checkbook. What is your credit report? None of that stuff is taught in school, and I think so many people learn things that are incorrect, or they're taught wrong because that's what they've been around in their environment at home. And then, history just kind of repeats itself, and we keep repeating those bad habits and bad patterns of our parents and our parents before us.
It's a cycle,
Yeah.
for sure. And part of my deal when I become mayor president is to assist with other entities to break that cycle. Okay, there's a great need all over the parish, in particular on the north side, of some educational programs with welding and carpentry and auto mechanics. What you were talking about, financial literacy, balancing a budget. I work with these kids,
right?
And I know where they're shorthanded, and it could. Here again, it's handed down, and it's breaking that cycle, and giving them some hope.
Yeah. My parents, I literally, when I went to buy my first car, on my credit report, the only two things on there was a water bill collection and an electric bill collection.
Right.
And it was because when I was 13 years old, my mom had to put the utilities in my name.
Right.
And only someone who grew up in poverty and that type of, even knows what I'm talking about right now. There's 60-70% of people are going, that doesn't make any sense, because they would never fathom that their credit's so bad that they got to put their kid's name on there to get the water turned on.
So you broke the cycle.
I broke the cycle.
Wow.
Honestly, I learned it the hard way. I got a job at a subprime mortgage company, and so I was doing sales 24 years ago, and all of our clients was subprime mortgage, subprime credit, and so I started learning how to fix credit, or we did loans for people who couldn't go to the bank, couldn't go anywhere else, and so I could relate to that because that's where I grew up.
Right.
My credit was bad before I was even 18 years old. I got the stuff taken off my credit once I got that job and learned, oh, okay, I wasn't 18, I can't sign a contract. It's illegal for that to be on my credit. But had I not known how to do that, that stuff would have stayed on my credit and kept pulling my credit down. And so, I learned it the hard way, just working in the subprime mortgage industry for the first 4 or 5 years, and realizing everything that I was taught was wrong. And then seeing half the population is either taught wrong or just has no idea, doesn't even understand what is or isn't on their credit. And so I made it a point at that young age in my 20s, I need to learn how to fix this. And fast forward a few years, my parents were working for me at my mortgage company. So it's trying to break that cycle and provide a better life for my family, because I didn't want to end up like that.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
Yeah. So that was my story, and why I'm passionate about trying to contribute and give back in the community. And I've even talked about doing some kind of literacy programs at schools for credit or for financial understanding how your finances work, buying a house, buying a car, what to look for, just things like that, because they need to learn it in high school before. I screwed up when I was 18 on campus at LSU. They're handing you credit card applications all over campus to get this stupid free stuff. And then I got 3 credit cards, and I didn't know that if you don't pay it on the due date, it hits your credit. I was that ignorant at 18 years old that I just thought you just pay it whenever you need to pay it.
Right.
And so I had 30-day lates on my credit within a month and a half, 2 months of getting the cards, because I just didn't know how it reported to my credit.
Right.
And until I turned 21 and got into the business.
Yeah, that's good.
So I think that's a huge thing, like you said, and courses for trades. There's trades are becoming harder to fill now because people don't want to do the work. Right. And there's a lot of trade jobs that pay 6 figures.
Right. I was out, I was the head football coach out in Central for 17 years, and they have a stellar trade program, in particular welding. And those kids were coming out of that program, walking down that aisle, making $25,000 more a year than I did.
As a teacher,
absolutely. Just the opportunity, for that. And we have a new superintendent, Lamont Cole, and he's a visionary. He's going to do really well. And I look forward to working, closely with him on those things.
That's great.
That's the way out.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you mentioned crime. So, what is obviously everyone says we need to get crime down.
Right.
So what is the first steps when you get in office? what are the first things you see that need to be done to bring it down? Because it's one thing to say it, but what's the plan there?
Yeah, day one, we got to meet with all the law enforcement agencies in the entire parish. We've got to sit down and talk. I got to listen. Okay, those are the guys. Those are the guys with boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And we got to talk. The Baton Rouge Police Department, and sometimes I don't mention this enough, the Sheriff's Department as well, is short officers.
Sure.
So all our policing is all reactive policing right now, mostly. There's no community policing. Okay, so these guys are so short-handed that they'll get a call, they'll respond to the call. Quite often you'll see an officer that will have to leave a call to go to another call and say, hey, look, I'll be back or I'll send a buddy. That's how short-handed they are.
Right.
Well, you can't community police if all you're doing is responding.
Right.
There was a time when, from a neighborhood standpoint, okay, like Boulevard de Province, okay, there was a time that an officer who patrolled that area, your child would know his name.
Yeah.
Hey, that's Officer Smith. Hey, that's Officer Jones. And that's so powerful and so important. So we have to bolster that force. We have to pay them fairly.
That's a big one.
Okay? We need to get, I mean, the goal is to open up 2 or 3 academies right when I get in office.
Yeah.
You know, and, but, you know, people have to feel good about being an officer again.
Yeah.
Putting honor back on the badge. Just like there's
They need to feel like the city or the state or the government has their back.
Yeah.
I think that, like a few bad apples really spoiled the bunch for the thousands and thousands of good officers who risk their lives every day.
Yeah, they got to feel supported.
Yeah.
So that, now, with that being said, I've said it 1,000 times, you cannot police your way out of crime. It helps. A lot of people don't want to hear that. It certainly helps. But there's the things we just talked about, hope, despair, the trauma that's going on. If you're going to help with crime, I'm going to say 3rd grade, partnering with the schools is in the 3rd grade where you've got to infiltrate and work with these children.
Yep.
And especially in the high-risk areas. And then, you know, the ALIS score in North Baton Rouge is $21,000 a year. And that's for a family of 4 or 5. How do you make it?
You can't live on that today.
No, you can't. So there's the long version of the fix, and then what can you do right now?
Yeah.
Hey, how about putting some light bulbs in some light poles? How about getting our academies up and running? How about getting more officers on the street? Okay, how about going in there with programs and vetting people and seeing what do you need, what is the situation here, you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gang issues in Baton Rouge as well, and that's comprehensive, you know, getting with those folks and seeing what's going on, you know, what's happening. You know, what was it, Wednesday night? 14-year-old corner of Winburn and Plank. He's walking down Plank Road, he's shot. Now the officers are going to do what they got to do, you know, the investigating and everything else. Was it a hit? Was it a beef? Was it random? You know, there's so much anger and angst in the communities.
Well, and you make a good point. Like, to me, it's about opportunity, and if you feel that you have nothing to lose, and there's no alternative, and crime is the only opportunity, drugs, whatever. I grew up around all of that.
Yeah.
You know, like we broke, you know, I think I'm out of the statute of limitations. We broke all that. But seriously, like you know, I grew up around the wrong element.
Right.
And if I didn't see that there was a better way or another opportunity, I see how a young boy, especially men, you know, we can fall down that dark path a lot easier, I think. And if you don't see another way out, it's easy to get led down that, because the money's easy. The fast money's easy in crime, and when there's no other way to make it, and you know, like you said, $20,000 a year for a family of 4.
Right.
Well, it's real easy hustling to make $20,000 in a matter of months.
Right.
Breaking the law, you know, and so if someone doesn't see that there's get into sales, get a trade, like you could make good money doing something legitimate and provide a better life for your family, but a lot of times people don't see that.
Yeah, well, what you get, if the median salary is 21,000, you get governmental help on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make $40,000,
It's cut off.
It's cut off.
It's so broken.
It's so broke, and 40's not enough to make it. So all those things have to be tended to, and you have to look at it, and you got to look at the opportunities. And it's early education, okay, early education. But then as they come up the ladder through high school, having those opportunities ready, having, hey, look, here are some pathways. A lot of schools have pathways, of course, most do, what they're studying. And but not every school does. Not every school is pushed. We have a hydroponics lab at Struma. I mean, it is a wonderful program. But how many are finishing and following through? Mm-hmm. Our ag teacher over there, Vernon Langley, does a wonderful job. We have Officer Spelling, who's our resource officer, that started a law enforcement group. And I mean, out of Struma, his big deal is, man, I don't know if anybody's going to join. So you put it out there, hey, we're going to have a law enforcement club, a cadet club. 38 signed up.
Okay.
What if we only get 2 officers out that 38?
But that's at the high school level.
Yeah, that's a win.
Yeah.
And so much of that, those opportunities. Some places you could go to school and you don't have a choice. You're gonna, a lot, the Catholic highs of the world, the Baton Rouge highs of the world. I mean, they're there on a track going. But so many of our young students are just getting through the day.
Yeah. My kids can't fathom when they hear stories about, I went to the old Woodlawn that got condemned. Yeah. And when they hear stories about the stuff that we got into and the things that went on in high school, they can't fathom it. Like my oldest, we were just doing it kind of not a social stuff, but we were just here at the house. And I said, watch this. I'm going to ask him some questions. I just asked him, I said, how many fights did you have at school this year? He goes, this year? It was a senior year. He goes, we haven't had a fight since I started. 4 years. We couldn't go 4 days in high school without a fight at school. Right. It was just culturally and the atmosphere and everything. It's just, it's night and day. Right. And those kids come out of Catholic. They're well-adjusted, well-prepared young men. And then they've got a fraternity around them. Mm-hmm. Here, and I think that's what's lacking too, is like you said, where's that fraternity around the youth here that go to public school? Right. See, people, they call it school choice. There's really no choice. I mean, we have a magnet program and they can go where they want to go, but the kids I serve, I got a lot of kids. Let's just say that a kid wanted to go to Tara High because of one of their magnet programs. They have bus services, they got ways to go, but to take part in extracurricular activities, all that, we have transportation issues. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's just got to be made more readily available and look about what's happening. With it, the truancy rate in East Baton Rouge Parish is high. Oh, yeah. And a lot of this has to do with some apathy in the house. What leads to the crime is a lot of broken families. Oh, yeah. And, I'll have kids, they don't go to school, they miss school. A lot, there's no consequences for it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I look at it, again, the staggering difference between men and women, boys and girls. A boy in a fatherless household, it's just a disaster for that young man. That was the turning point for my brothers and I when, we got off the path, was when my parents split up. My dad was gone. Right. And, I look at what might have been if he had been around for my little brother. And, my little brother's no longer here. We had a lot of tragedy in our family. And I look at all that, and, that's what pushes me to be a good father, too. Right. Is like, I don't want my kids to ever experience that and go through those, but it is, a huge issue. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a father. It could be a positive, coach. A great coach. You changed a lot of young men's lives who didn't have a father. Mm-hmm. But by being that positive male role model in their life, and I think that's something that's really lacking in the communities where a lot of the crime is stemming from. Yeah. On Father's Day, I often text the mothers of my players and tell them Happy Father's Day. Mm. Because
many are playing that same role.
Right.
Not all my children are fatherless.
Mhm.
You know, we got some really good dads, man, that
Yeah.
really, but I look at the hollow look in the eyes of the boys if we're doing something or after a game and the dads are on the field, those that don't have them.
Yes.
And that's where we fill in the gap.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
coaches, mentors, teachers.
My oldest is 21, and he's the head basketball coach now for my youngest that you just met.
Yeah.
He's a basketball coach now at the middle school at St. John VNA, and he was the head football coach for 8th grade at MBS for 2 seasons.
Okay.
And the other day he came home and he was just saying, it's blatantly obvious the kids who don't have a father at home.
Mhm.
He's already, at 21 years old, he said, I can see a total difference in the
Yeah.
kids. You know, their mental toughness, their ability, their coachability, you know, like all the challenges. Like he sees those kids already have a you know, tougher road ahead, and he's working with them. And he's like, but I can tell just from coaching them, just for the short period of time, he's like, I can always tell which kids or don't have a good, positive role model there at the house, and it stands out.
Yeah, and what we find is that a lot of these young men, especially in my demographic where I'm at, they're not trusting of men, because a lot of times every man that's ever been in their life has walked away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And here again, not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
So they're not very.
Because it hurts. They don't want to be hurt again.
Yeah, they some of them will fight not to get close with you, and it takes a long time to break them down.
Yeah.
You know, and but we got some really good people over there that do fill that gap.
No, I'm glad, because like I said, I think that's a huge void in the community, and definitely I think with all the years and I mean you've gotten, everyone I've ever talked to speaks so highly of you as a coach and as a person, and so obviously the agenda, hiring more police and starting at the school level too. What's the issue? You're a teacher. Why is Louisiana's teachers and police some of the lowest paid in the country? Why are we always bringing up the rear in paying our people? Why can't we pay our people a decent wage who are in those critical roles like police and teachers?
It's absolutely incredible. You know, it's priorities. You know, it's nationwide. I mean, when you really think about it, I don't want to use LeBron James. That's big money, but you know, a rookie basketball player in the NBA could come out with a $1.2 million contract. And then you go down, and I'm sure our physicians and our, you know, legal people all need to be paid well. But where the rubber meets the road, when you're talking about educators and law enforcement, people who are in charge of our safety, and it's so low paid.
It's at the poverty level.
It is.
I have teachers applying for loans right now, and I know what teachers make because I do mortgages all the time. And the starting teacher pay is in the 40s.
That's right.
In the low 40s.
Right.
I can't even get them a loan for a house in most cases, because if they just have a car note and a house note, their debt ratio is over 50%.
Right.
And that's just trying to get an average, which is not even the average sale price now of $200,000.
Yeah, my wife just retired from teaching. We're both lifetime educators, and for years we were told, oh, this is going to happen, you're going to get a pay raise, only for it not to happen. The same with our law enforcement officers. And when you think about the importance here again of the job that is done.
Yeah.
And it's, okay, I'm just going to go down the road. It's politics. Where are we putting our money?
Right.
Where is it going?
Yeah.
You know? And it's why this parish doesn't need another politician at the moment.
Yeah. Well, and I think the presidential election showed us people are ready to get away from politicians for a while.
Yeah.
You know, and so the you know, landscape I think is ripe now for someone who's not the lifetime politician. You know, because we need some different viewpoints. We need some change to get things back on the right track. I know you mentioned blight out there. You know, what is your vision for getting rid of, like you said, I know I've seen it on your page, you know, the abandoned buildings and abandoned houses and a lot of the blight that's around the community.
Well, we call them trap houses, some of them, and that's where these abandoned properties, often in neighborhoods, where prostitution and drug trade and a lot of bad things are going on. People don't have to pay for a hotel to go get shot up with heroin or whatever, or go with a hooker, They got free places all over the parish that they can go. And to me, the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to give it to business owner. Somebody owns that property.
Right.
The city parish owns some of them, actually.
Yeah, foreclosed ones.
One of the biggest slumlords in Baton Rouge is the city parish.
Right.
So, but we're going to find out, who owns it, what's the plan, okay? Or, I already know the plan. It's been sitting there for 30 years. What is your plan? Well, okay, we got to get it down. So how are we going to do this? Okay. And sometimes there's some red tape to go through, but it might be something as simple as someone who has a property that doesn't need to be abated. It just needs to be knocked down and torn down. Hey, we're going to get into an agreement and we're going to go take it down. Those that don't comply, well, then we're just going to enforce ordinances. Those will be a little tough, but the city is dirty. It is not a clean city, and we need to clean it up. This is the capital city of Louisiana, which houses our state capital, Louisiana State University, the Southern University, BRCC.
Right.
And it's
it should be the crown jewel of Louisiana.
Yeah, it's filthy. And so you eat that elephant one bite at a time.
Right.
And if we, on the blighted properties, we would have to knock down 100 a week for the entire 4 years of my first term to get them all.
100 a week.
Right. So, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And
that's unreal when you think of it in that.
Yeah.
For every week, that's a lot.
Yeah. And it's just gonna. It's just gonna.
But again, it's just like you said, eating or working. Like if you have a consistent. Think of the difference in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And then if you actually, then those properties could be either sold or rehabilitated into something positive.
Yeah, and there's can be an option. If there's a building out there and a business owner, say it's a business, okay, because there's residential blight. And, hey man, I don't want to knock it down. Okay, let's go, I'm running for the whole parish, but I go back to North Baton Rouge, say the Plank Road corridor, and there's a building, okay. It could be repurposed.
Yeah.
The facade, the front of it. But in order to do that, for that business owner to put that money, he has to have a tenant. To have a tenant, you got to take care of the crime so that people aren't robbing them.
There. Yeah.
Okay? And you got to have a higher income of $21,000 a year in that neighborhood to support that business.
Right.
So there's levels of it. More than likely, a lot of folks will say, "Oh yeah, you're fine, knock it down." But then if you do, and you've got that property, maybe you can get some investors. I mean, it would take. Ty Graves put a Raising Cane's ploop right in the middle of Plank Road, and when I tell you, it's next to Tony's Seafood.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And that's where I get my Diet Coke, and usually I'm carding them 11, 12 in line, right there in the middle of North. I don't know his numbers. But I'd love to know, say that one versus, the one on
right here on Perkins.
On Perkins, yeah. What is your volume?
Yeah.
But they're supporting that business.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that the family that has the Tony Seafood, and I know the kind of numbers they do.
Oh yeah,
that place is a gold mine.
It is. It is.
It's been there for 40 plus years now.
It has.
In the family. So like you said, there is opportunity for businesses there. They just need some kind of incentive or again, to feel secure and go into those areas. Like I saw some banks and some companies, and to me it was unjust. I think attorneys basically saw dollar signs.
Right.
And there's been banks and the big names where they were cited for redlining. Because they didn't open a bank in that bad area of town.
Right.
And so they ended up getting fined millions and millions of dollars. But was that really, they just had a bullseye on their back? Were they really redlining, or was it just, again, it's not safe to open that business right there in that area. at that time. And so, but they pay the fine, they can afford it.
Right.
But another business could get hit with that same type of redlining discrimination, and it's not necessarily that. It's just that, like you said, the business may not sustain there, or it could be a safety concern.
Right.
So like it needs to be where businesses actually have the opportunity to go there and operate safely. And like you said, getting crime under control is a huge piece of that.
Well, you look, that area is described as a food desert as well. Not enough grocery stores.
Really? Okay.
And like if you look in the north, there's a Shoppers Value right before the overpass on Plank Road over Airline Highway in a corner. Mm-hmm. And on the far other corner is of the area is High Neighbor on Winburn in Airline.
Uh-huh.
And so folks don't have a lot of options, and both are great businesses, and they treat the people right. But we're looking at something really unique and talking about opportunities, for high school kids, and here again, getting with the school system, is using some of the high schools as grocery hubs, opening up a grocery store within the high school.
Oh, wow. The kids could run it and work it like a job.
Right. And it won't be stocked like Rouse's or High Neighbor or one of those deals, but your basic necessities, fresh fruit, vegetables. You're teaching commerce, you teach them how to work, you pay the students.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, and I can't say it's mine, okay? But I'm supporting.
I'll let you claim it on here.
But I'm supporting, here again, when you're running for mayor president, or you are the mayor president, it's everybody a seat at the table, and, people being able to contribute and be heard.
Yeah.
And I got that. I picked that up from someone else, and I said, that is brilliant. And it's the neighborhood grocery is, say, at Glen Oaks High School.
Right. And think of the extra revenue for the school.
Yeah.
Opportunity too. Mm-hmm. Have them share in the profit. Because again, that could be. My friend runs the Baton Rouge food bank. I wonder if it'd even be something they could partner.
I bet they
with
could.
You guys. Shout out to Mark Walker
Mark Walker is one of the most outstanding men I've ever met.
You know Mark? Oh, yes.
Yeah, my wife.
That's my older brother. We grew up together.
Okay, my wife worked at food bank with her special education students.
Okay.
From Central for many, many years.
Yeah.
And, he's a big supporter, good guy.
Yeah, he's great. Now Hightower's over there too from Catholic High.
Yeah. So I didn't know that.
Yeah. Hightower went over there about a year or so ago. We're actually supposed to do a podcast over there here in the near future.
Good.
But what they do is amazing for the community.
Yeah.
And that might be something too to with, like you said, for the schools to be able to have a little grocery store there. They could probably donate half the stuff.
Right. And it's for the areas that are shortchanged. If I go down Florida Boulevard, that Florida Sherwood, Bel Air area, at one time they had an Albertsons.
Oh yeah,
right over there.
I looked at leasing that building to turn it into a mini store.
Okay.
It had been vacant for so many years.
Right. But if you know Bel Air High School, for example, where they're located.
Yeah, we lived right there.
Yeah, you get with the groceries, with High Neighbor and Rouse's and Winn-Dixie. Hey, you partner, you involve the food bank, and you keep that thing stocked. And then, like our ag department, I can tell you that they do such a good job. Most of the vegetables could be grown right there on campus, and sold. So it's just that we have lots of concepts and lots of ideas. Everybody does, right?
Yeah.
The key is moving it.
Right.
And making it happen. And that's where the coach comes in.
Yeah.
And that's where the coach comes in and says, let me get my whistle, go.
Right. Well, because you got to run all your teams, all your players, all your coaches, your position coaches, and making people move on an instant. Because again, that's the whole thing. I think that's where a lot of people who are stuck in politics, they're trying to play the political game too much, and then nothing gets done, and it's just more of the same. Or it's this group is paying, and they got their special interest groups, and they're trying to pander to the lobbyists and where the money's at, and not ever get down to the root issues that are what's holding us back as a city from growing.
Well, 44 years as a coach, I never played politics.
Good.
I didn't play daddy's boy in a game. I played the right kid.
Yeah.
Okay, I put the bet, and that's how this city's going to be run. I owe nobody nothing.
Yeah.
I promise no jobs to anyone. There will be a fair process. And just like I put the best quarterback, the best left tackle, the best defensive back in the game, I want to recruit
Those key players.
the best to help run this parish.
Yeah. So another issue, obviously, that for me, for such a small population, are traffic here. For years, I mean, I've heard the legend of the loop and the second Mississippi Bridge. And I mean, we've got the worst bottleneck on the interstate I've ever seen coming off the bridge, morning, noon, and night. I mean, and it's dangerous too.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous bottleneck too. You know, what's the vision there? Is, you know, to get, because I always say, like, we always put a Band-Aid on the boulevard here. You know, like, we're 10 years behind and we add one lane for a couple of miles on the interstate, but we're already so far behind by the time that project's done. We needed 2 lanes all the way from Walker to Hammond and all the way past LSU. We still haven't added anything. You know, we're always just kind of putting a Band-Aid and just adding 1 lane at a time for just a short space. What can we do to change that?
Right off the bat, there's a couple, I'm not going to say minor things. We have to shut down the original Washington Street exit coming off the bridge. I mean, that just jams up. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's going to get some traffic flowing off that bridge quicker. That exit needs to be shut. Another big deal is adding extra lanes on Airline from the old Mississippi River Bridge, okay, almost all the way down to Livingston, which would give those truckers and that heavy traffic coming over that bridge, hitting I-10, I-12, an alternate route where they could pick it back up later. And then 4-lane in Nicholson all the way to the Ascension Parish line. That's in one of the mayor's plans, you know, a move Baton Rouge. That has to happen sooner than later. So to me, that's 3 things that would offer some absolute relief, all the way down to minor infrastructure deals. I know they've, you know, talked about synchronizing the lights and all. Well, I think we need to look deeper into that, you know, study and see what's working and what's not. I think they need resynchronization, is what I'm saying. So those are the things right off the bat. The day after the primary, when you know, I got in the runoff, I went straight to the state capitol to meet with legislatures, just in case I'm selected. I went over there and got to talk to several legislatures about those issues and just letting them know, if God writes I'm going to be the person, you're going to see me here often, you know. And they said, well, great, we'd love to see you. And because certainly the city, you know, a lot of this is state and federal, we got to pull some of that money down, you know, to help with these projects.
Absolutely. Because it always blew my mind, you know, when I go to Texas, I joke about it, but it's not really funny. I just kind of have to make light of the hard reality. Like, I go to Texas all the time. There'll be a whole new interstate every couple of years. I'm like, oh, this is a whole new beltway. This is a whole new interstate. Meanwhile, we're still working on the 2-mile stretch of adding 1 lane. And they've added a whole nother interstate, a whole nother beltway, a whole nother tollway. You know, and it just seems like we've been talking about this beltway or loop. I've been hearing about a loop since I think I was probably in my 20s.
Right.
Yeah, and we're still hearing about it. Is there ever going to be a loop?
All the way back to Mayor Holden, you know, when
is Coach Sid going to get us the loop?
Well, I can't say that tonight because a loop sounds lucrative. A loop sounds a lot of money. But certainly if you could build, you know, if you could get that going, I mean, the whole city opens up. Shoot, you know, you're in and out. But I've gotten 2 guys that are considered infrastructure geniuses.
Yeah.
I've talked to them, and then they know people that they claim are smarter than them on it, that are out of our state,
right,
from abroad. And that will be early in the deal too. Okay, let's be realistic. What are we looking at? You know, because you know you're going to have federal dollars.
Sure.
What are we looking at? And what is the study? What's the best solution? But I think the things I mentioned, you know, in the front, you'd be amazed at shutting that Washington Street exit. I mean, you come off that bridge and boom, it's right there. What that would do, just that little thing, you know, the Airline Highway.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
That would be huge.
I've been saying that since I was young. I mean, Sherwood Forest, Airline Highway, like, we have no real highways in this city.
Right.
We don't have a grid system. We don't have any other passageways besides the 2-lane interstate.
Yeah, they looked at that airline deal many years ago, but all the businesses, might have been 30 years ago, the businesses were against it coming off the old bridge. There's hardly any businesses left.
Right.
So it's the opposite now. It's right to revisit.
Yeah.
Because getting that traffic through there, it'd be the opposite. They didn't want it. Hey, in our day, we don't want to.
Yeah.
Now we get that, and you get major traffic coming out here. Here comes investment.
Right. It can make your business more valuable to be on that road. Yeah. So obviously traffic's always a topic here in Baton Rouge. For the fact that we don't have 10 million people like Houston.
Right.
If we can get, like you said, just a few projects going instead of just little Band-Aids. Like I think, and you mentioned like the synchronizing the lights. I'll be sitting in the middle of the night at a red light for 5-6 minutes on Parkins.
And nobody around.
No one around, and the sensors don't work.
Yeah.
Like just the little stuff like that could increase the traffic flow, just the road sensors. So that way the traffic's flowing. So you don't just have people just sitting aimlessly, or like you said, the synchronization, so the traffic flows at high peak times of the day.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's little things. I talked about the lighting. Minor things on the highways. The little reflectors that are in the road. We have several busy roads that don't even have it. You could legitimately try, in a night like tonight where we got rain, you don't know where your lane is.
I've almost been hit 3 times in the last month because they redid, finally, it's so many years overdue, Lee College right here, from College at the interstate to Lee. And when I make my left on the Parkins, and the same thing, like making the left on the College, there's so many double turning lanes.
Right.
And people don't pay it. Just like getting off at Highland, I almost got hit by a Hummer. I'm in the outside lane and he just barreled right over. I got no choice. I had to go off on the shoulder. I got to get out of the way because people don't even know that it's 2 turning lanes because it's not really well delineated.
Yeah. It's some just plain. You're guessing. And 3 inches this way and you get sideswiped.
Yeah.
But those minor things need to be addressed.
Yeah. Because it's a safety, and it wouldn't cost a lot to have, like you said, the right reflectors, the right striping on the road. There's some of those curves I see in the middle of the roadway that are supposed to keep, but they're not even really well painted.
Right.
And if you're not watching real closely, you're going to smash your car on that because it's dead in the center of the street. Yeah, I think, like you said, a lot of little things like that would be great. Just to upgrade the little things on the road. So talk about what can we do? How do we lobby to get the teachers and the cops paid more? To get you guys paid like other states out there.
Well, mainly, under what I'd be dealing with, I'd mainly be dealing with, I can, vouch for the teachers and fight for the teachers and all. And on my part of it, the officers. We're going to start with a zero-based budget. I am committed to having enough officers on the street. And when we start zero base, we're going to look at it, okay? And we're going to find out how much, what can we do? And then when I get that done, then I got to see what else I've got to fool with, okay? So it's a real commitment, to make it happen, and it costs money.
Yeah.
I met with a police officer yesterday by chance. He pulled up on me and recognized me, and he just wanted to meet me. And you can't make this up. There were 3 places on his unit that had cracks in the body that he had with duct tape on it. It's just unbelievable. They don't have the proper equipment. Their vehicles are not in great shape. Notice next time, like if you go to a convenience store and you see one around, just kind of check their unit out.
Right.
Oh, they're driving something like I drive. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But to me, that's going to just be a high priority for me. Now, if I could control teacher pay, I sure would.
Yeah.
I can lend my hand in on it because those poor people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame. That we're at the bottom in paying all those key positions here as a city and as a state as a whole. What's the process to get more federal funding? Why are we always kind of scratching at the bottom of the barrel to get federal funding here?
We've had zero presence at the state capitol the last 8 years. I mean, that's not fair. We've had very little presence at the capitol. You got to work, man. You got to hustle. You got to go in there. You got to build relationships.
Yeah.
You got to talk to the legislators that are, where's their area in the different parts of town. It's very important that the mayor president spend time at that capitol.
Right.
And work and fight.
Yeah.
I mean, other, cities are doing that.
Right.
Other areas of the state are doing that.
Yeah.
And you, that's it, man. You got to get it.
I noticed it many years ago. Hadn't been to Shreveport in ages. Mm-hmm. And around 06, I did my first bodybuilding show. And we stayed the weekend in Shreveport. And I remember saying to myself, when did Shreveport's downtown pass ours up?
Right.
Because I hadn't been there in a while.
Right.
Shreveport's downtown is way more prosperous than ours.
Right.
And that was a long time ago.
Right.
It's like blown away when I went to see their downtown.
I haven't been there in many years.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it. It's something, I plan, what I want to do is take some trips. One destination, I'm hearing a lot of good things about Detroit, which is...
I just got back from there.
Okay. I mean, what did you find?
So Rocket Mortgage, next time I go, I'll get with you and see if get you a seat to come up there with us.
That'd be great.
They fly me and my team up there a couple times a year. And the owner of Rocket Mortgage has obviously donated billions of dollars to the city. And it is remarkable what they've done. And they had a lot more work to do than we did.
Right.
But they had the right people, like a Todd. They had some wealthy people, but they were really bought in on changing the community. And that company, obviously being one of the biggest mortgage companies in the world, has put a ton of money into the buildings and rehabbing all the blighted buildings downtown. They have cameras, a couple thousand cameras. They have rock security. I didn't even know this. And the state, the FBI, the Detroit police, everybody, they have access to these cameras that are on top of all the buildings overlooking all of downtown.
Oh, wow.
And they can see everything. It's like one of those high-tech crime movies that you see on TV where they can zoom in and read your shirt from the top of the building. And I mean, they have unbelievable what they've done to Detroit. And it was one of the worst cities in the country.
Right.
Especially after all the automakers and everybody left the city, 30% unemployment, more dilapidated and blighted buildings than anywhere probably in the entire country. And now half of that, there's still obviously on the outskirts, there's still work to be done, but downtown has cleaned up to where there's hardly any crime. Mm-hmm. We were walking at night, going to eat, went out to a couple places, and it was beautiful. And the restaurants are coming back in, the businesses are coming back in. There's a tax incentives, they're getting people, and people want to open businesses there.
Right.
And I think that's what I see kind of lacking here is, like, there's nothing that's really driving businesses to want to come in and open here.
Well, who would want to?
Yeah, the taxes aren't there. So like I remember when we had a ton of movies being shot here in Louisiana.
Right.
Had all those tax credits, had all the incentives, and then they got rid of all that. And now, of course, we don't have movies being shot here anymore.
Right.
It's like just common sense things that I'm not the smartest guy, but I see all these things that, like, we had a little glimmer, and we had the movies going. Or like downtown Baton Rouge. We saw a rise of downtown Baton Rouge, and now a fall. And I know because I had a lot of friends. I had a friend try to get me to open a nightclub with him down there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I just can't really see putting money into a bar on 3rd Street because all the bars I've seen down there that used to be booming, there might be the 4 of us like we're here in my living room right now. There's like 4 people, the music's playing, and there's no one in there. Downtown's really kind of slowed down. And I don't know, what's your thoughts on getting downtown back up?
Here again, we use the term revitalize, some bills and all that. Here again, talking to other people.
Yeah.
And I think this could be key, and it's something someone told me I really like. LSU has a tremendous housing shortage on
Yes.
campus for their students.
And parking.
Yeah, I mean, they were even at one point going to pay half the freshmen to stay home.
I heard that.
You know, imagine if you tied these college students with some affordable housing, with places to stay downtown. Think you realize how big LSU is,
Yeah.
and how many students, and you just don't do it for freshmen, but it's an option for LSU students. And I mean, you just write a Zoom right down the street to class.
It's a great idea.
You get that 20, 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, 25-year-old graduate students
Yeah.
downtown. I promise you bars are going to open.
Downtown starts jumping again.
Yeah, and here
Yeah.
again, you know, it's stuff I've learned along the way and thought processes
Right.
of doing something like that. And I think that for it to boom, you got to have people.
Yeah.
And that's one thought.
I like that. That's a great idea. So, and for the people who don't know, you've been watching, like, what motivated you? You've had an amazing career. You know, you're the dean of students there at Struma, head coach. Like, you've got a good life.
Right.
I know you've been married, what, close to 40 years?
We're close, yeah. You got to ask me that on camera, and I don't know the exact years. I'd be in trouble.
So, what motivated you to want to throw your hat into politics now?
Believe it or not, I had thought about it years ago when I was living in Central. I was a resident of Central, and someone had approached me, "Hey, Coach, would you ever consider running for mayor?" And it was in the early stages of the city. And I said, absolutely not. I'm a ball coach. I'm not fooling with that. But it didn't die. You know, the subject came up again. I have two autistic sons, adult sons that live with me, and we moved to Baton Rouge to get closer to their care.
Okay.
Moved out of there. And I had a friend, and at one point, you know, I said, well, what about mayor of Baton Rouge? And they're like, oh, no. I mean, Central's a speck on the whole parish is just a part. This is a major deal. And that was 4 years ago. I became very apolitical at one point. My civil duty was to these young men and women I fooled with.
Right.
And, but I kept paying attention. I kept watching. And I'll tell you this, I was the head football coach at Central for 17 years. So even though I moved to Baton Rouge, I was still the head football coach there.
Okay.
So if I wouldn't have left there, I wouldn't be sitting here today with you. It's because me going to Struma, because it was already in my mind, already maybe one day.
Right.
But by going over there and peeling back the curtain on those poor people and the trauma and the despair and what I saw going on in our city, it kind of amped it up.
Yeah.
And then I had a situation. I had a young man, he was 14 years old, and really bright kid. We talked about Catholic and you know, Baton Rouge, China, but he had a 22 on the ACT as a 7th grader.
Oh, wow.
Our average ACT score is 13.
Yeah.
This guy was sharp. And he started in 4A football at cornerback. And he turned 15 on Christmas Day. On New Year's Day, he's walking down Evangeline Street with some buddies, and they were gunned down. And my kid died. He was the first murder of 2024, as a matter of fact. We're at 102. He was number one.
That was this year.
Yeah, this year.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm not marginalizing it and telling you that's why I ran. I'm running for mayor president. But it happens every night. Guns are being shot right now as we're sitting here. Mm-hmm. And by the time the sun comes up in the morning, every day I look to see who got it tonight.
Right.
And just to me, I love Baton Rouge. It's been my home. You know, my dad was a plant worker, mom was a stay-at-home mom right there in that 70805
Right.
neighborhood. And I knew how we grew up. And then I look at, you know, I was paying attention to the St. George piece. You know, a lot of people are painting me, oh, he's the St. George. Well, those people voted, you know, to do what they got to do. It's time to work with them. Baker, Zachary, Central, St. George. And then you got Baton Rouge proper. Okay, that's what I'm going to be the mayor of, and I'm going to be the mayor president of all of these deals. And that comes back to the unifying and cleaning. You're never going to eradicate crime.
Well, yeah.
But
If you could cut it in half,
yeah,
it'd be an amazing
Yeah.
feat.
yeah, and it takes a lot. You know, it's a major job, and that has to be fixed for the economic development, for the people to come in, and everything else. That's the piece right now.
Yeah, that's a powerful motivator. And my God, my heart goes out for the family of that young man, because whole life ahead of him.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, it was 4 days ago, 14-year-old.
It's terrible. It's tragic.
Yeah.
So the runoff, obviously, you know, voting had started back early November. So when is the next chance for people to go out and place their vote for mayor?
I think early voting starts, what's the date today? The 22nd, I think? I may be wrong on that. I think it's November 22nd. And it runs, you know, for the week, through Thanksgiving week, I think. So yeah, I'd appreciate, you know, I'm asking for everyone's vote and asking them to come support me. Here again, I am the change candidate. If you think everything's good and you feel safe and the city's clean and we're good, well then, you know, you don't have to vote for me.
Right.
But if you feel some change is needed, you know, people use change so much, just a fresh perspective. You know, I was replaced at Central as football coach. You know, they wanted to go in a different, I didn't just move to Estruma. And at the time when that happened, I was hurt. I'm like, man, 17 years.
Yeah.
All that we accomplished, all
Right.
the wins, the championships. And they didn't kick me out. I mean, they wanted me to stay there all my life, just doing something different.
Yeah.
But just like in coaching, in retrospect, that school needed a fresh voice and something new.
Makes sense.
And so did Sid Edwards.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can be the fresh voice and that change for Baton Rouge. Like I said, I know we need some change. I've been here my whole life, and I'm not thrilled with what I see in the last decade.
Right.
You know, and if you're making progress in the right direction, it's one thing, but I just feel like we're going the wrong way.
Right. And you have to let your viewers know why Sid Edwards, candidate for mayor president, is sitting here in shorts and t-shirt. Let them know.
Oh, this is a hard.
Straight from the football
This is
field.
a hard. Yeah, my man was getting his team ready for the playoffs.
That's it.
Coach is coming straight off the battlefield, getting those boys ready for round 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah, I love to say that I dress as nicely as you, because I absolutely don't on a daily basis. But we were running straight from a rain-soaked practice to here, but I'm still representing.
Hey, look, that's what they love about you, Coach, is because you're the people's champion. You know, you're the coach, and being out there with your players today, you know, that to me is more important than being here with me talking. You know, it's just, you got to get your boys ready. You got a big game this week. Who do you guys play in the next round of the playoffs?
We're playing Haynes Academy out of Metairie.
Okay.
They play at Joe Yenny Stadium in Metairie. They're the number 4 ranked team in the state. They're undefeated.
Okay.
And so we're going to go down there and see what the Indians can do with them.
There you go. You got a good challenge ahead of you.
We do.
You guys look good in the first week. What was the final score of that game?
46-44. An absolute shootout.
That's exciting. That is a shootout.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's fun because we had 2 more.
You come up on top. Always makes it more fun, for sure. Well, we wish you good luck in the playoffs and definitely good luck in the runoff for mayor.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's been my pleasure, and I thank you guys every week for watching Financial Fitness. And if you're looking for change and you want to see Baton Rouge take a new direction, Coach Sid Edwards, the Republican candidate for mayor president.